We're often prompted with the notion, let's build something extraordinary together for 20 years. The responsible thing to be like, why don't we see if anyone would use it?
Adnaan,
Hello.
welcome to the Museum of Thought. I'm going to dive straight into some big things because you have quite an exceptional brain on an angle that I would love to unpack.
Thank you.
And that is about really taking responsibility for the work that we put into the world. I feel there, and I've done it myself throughout my career, where I may have been part of launching a product or a campaign, but haven't been so tethered to the end product and the outcome that it may have on an individual, and really thinking about every single point of it. Will this work? Is it good? Will it be the best quality forever? I mean, most of the time I was just making the fancy cinematic, beautiful video to launch it, and then I'd dust my hands and walk away. Mm-hmm. You are not that person. And that is what I love about you.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask a tricky question because why not? And that would be, if there had been a product that you'd ever worked on in your career that had had a negative effect on humanity, and it could have one little thread all the way back to your keyboard, to something you're a part of, would you want to know?
I think there definitely have been things that I've worked on that have had negative effects on humanity. Apologies, all of humanity. And probably will continue to. I think that we don't live in like these, vacuums of creative work happening or any work happening without them having an effect on someone inadvertently. So I think what I like to do and what I would prefer is to know exactly how I intend on that work affecting those people, whichever subset of people that I know of at that time, and then being able to take accountability for how whatever I've done contributes to their life experience, positively or negatively.
Would you call it responsible innovation, or would you have a different term for it?
I think that the creative industries, quote unquote, is just full of kind of feckless terms like innovation and even creativity. I think that these are terms that have kind of been co-opted by sort of a professional managerial class of worker, whereby everyone wants to be a creative worker because it gives you upward social mobility, it gives you opportunities, it gives you something interesting to say at your dinner party. But ultimately, like, what is that work and what is it in service of? Is it sending emails to people? Is it actually creating something? And to what end are you creating something? I think these are equally valid questions that need to be answered. And so when I like to think about the work that I do, I just like to say, like, I like to keep my word. And if I'm going to be in a position where I can learn something and know better, I want to have the opportunity to take those learnings and like apply them to that new situation. And I think that's where the frustration that I had in working in the creative industry, quote unquote, kind of came from. And I'm so lucky to be in a situation where I can kind of scratch that itch. When I started working, a lot of the creative work I was doing was very much, put this out there, it's very cool for here and now. And you start asking questions as to why we're doing something, how we're doing it, whether we want to actually do a thing or just say that we've done a thing, especially in, I guess, the advertising and marketing sort of space. And, if you want to actually have an impact on kind of a broader aspect of like project, whatever that may be, then you need to kind of liberate yourselves from the shackles of the things that would be considered, in a modern sense, creative. The most creative stuff is the most boring stuff, right? You might apply like a mental model or a way of thinking about a worldview into how you solve that problem, but it isn't something that's reserved for a few elite people, and it's not something that is like a job to do, to be creative. It's a way of, it's your unique lens, right, that you apply to a situation.
Love that. What you started off as a producer, and you've moved into different roles: experience design, special partnerships design. From those early years in your career, when did you know that you didn't just want to do the marketing part of a product? You wanted to be attached to the legitimacy that it worked and it's going to uphold some type of standard. Like, when did that go off for you?
I think it's funny, we're like human beings are pattern matching machines, and you need to hold me accountable here because I will go on a tangent of analogy and metaphor. And I think, like a lot of people, and I would speculate that because now I guess I'm becoming a bit of an old head in work. I got into like the advertising industry as an extension of that. You know, I want a creative profession that allows me to express myself to a degree. And I think that the role of the producer was very, very specific. It was very much like, here's a thing that someone who is quote unquote creative has given you to make. And so go and make that. And that was beautiful, like satisfying work. I learned so much in those early sort of jobs, but I wanted to do more. Like, I didn't think it was that interesting. And also I thought it was kind of disrespectful of my skill set and of the senior people that I saw doing the job that I would be doing in 5 to 10 years, to be like, hey, we've had this idea. You get no say in it. Go and make it. It was like a jail sentence in a way. And beyond that, like, I just looked around and I was like, if I do my job right in 5 to 10 years, I could be like this person and inflation will be up. And, you know, why am I doing this? This idea of like being able to be like, yeah, I work in a creative business, it wasn't enough for me.
Yeah.
I want to go out there and I want to make sure that if I'm going to say, hey, I worked on this, I actually did. I actually went and did the thing. I just had so many instances, sorry, back to the pattern matching thing, whereby I was seeing that it was the same thing. It was like every project, there's no opportunity to exercise your own agency in a setting that is called a creative agency. And I think for me, I have lots of opinions, lots of ideas, and I know that so many other people do. And so my I suppose mission is to try and, you know, express that creative agency and to enable others to have that creative agency too.
You're right about being in a creative agency, because you are, most of the time, 99% of the time, your job is to market a product that is done, final, no say. You are doing the visual or audio packaging around it and crossing your fingers that what you're creating for it will live up to what it is.
Yeah.
And you come in the middle and you're like, oh, I need to make sure that this visual or audio narrative is what it is. There's an ugly middle in that, where all the hard work is actually done, to your point, where if you are trying to understand how a product is made so that you could then tell the world that it is good, how hands-on are you in that process? Like, can you give us an example of that?
Yeah, I totally can. I think to sort of round out that point though, like I had this frustration. I think a lot of people have that frustration in a classical, I guess, industry like this. And I was able to find like a group of people to collaborate with at Love and Money, where I could be held to account for saying smart stuff and not being able to get away with it. So I'm very, very lucky to have that sort of level to be like, hey, we're not pretending here, we're actually doing real stuff. And there was a precedent that allowed me to get involved into those projects to that degree. Because I definitely do appreciate that saying that, you know, you need to have accountability, you need to get into the actual crux of the matter. That's not something that you're always given the opportunity to do. That's something that you earn over time by having the pedigree of having done that. So I'm definitely riding off the coattails of the reputation that had been built previously, and it's my opportunity to continue to do that so that other people can have the same access. In terms of the messy middle, like, I think that, it's funny, we were talking about innovation before, that that group of professional managerial class of worker, right, will always talk about customer centricity. What are your customers saying about you? Or quality assurance, like, are we testing everything and learning? Are we build, measuring and learning? But how many of those people have had to deal with customer complaints? How many of those people have had to have a broken product or a broken chain in the supply, like, to deal with? How many people have double shipped a product to a customer and then needed to reclaim stock or needed to raise money so they could buy stock to then continue selling? I'm lucky that I've had the opportunity to get into all of those things. And I've made some colossal fuck ups. Absolutely. Like, where you make a recommendation on something and you're like, maybe it would be a good idea to set up 2 different third-party logistics providers and to just, hope that you don't double fulfill stock for a period of time. And then when you find out 2 days later, you might have shipped, products double or triple the amount of times than you should have, which is like a massive issue because that costs actual money to the business to be able to kind of fulfill those things. So I realize it. Yeah, there are definitely parts that aren't super glamorous that you need to figure out properly, and there are definitely intelligent people out there that are like experts in supply, experts in understanding those facets of business. But I like to get involved in that. I haven't answered your question at all. I just talked about it. I just talked about it, and there's like the audience of cameras and people, and
Don't worry about that. You're great.
Perfect.
From all that experience, because when I've launched a product and it's been for a third party, I haven't been involved in customer service, and I can jump on and read a lot of the complaints. But I think you're right. Like, to truly understand how something is landing and how it's going to be successful, you've got to get into the guts of, how is it landing in someone's life? And the only way you can do that is by being on the front line.
Yeah.
And we by no means give frontline workers in that space as much, gratitude as we should at all. Flipping from that, when you see products being made or designed or invented, or even at that concept stage in general, and what you see come to market, where do you think more rebellion needs to happen? Like, when we're in that process of creating something?
I wouldn't call it rebellion. I'd say I'd again call it accountability, right? Like, what are you sort of incentivizing for when you're putting something out there? Are you incentivizing for people to be really, really amped up on this thing and really, really want it? Are you incentivizing to get as many of this product into as many hands as possible? Because that would change the way that you make the decisions you make. And there could be things that are at odds with each other, right? The ability to get a computer into every home versus get people really excited about this one computer that they can't have. There's a range of ways that you could make any product go to market. But I suppose it's very much about the big idea, the value that you want to kind of give to a person when it comes to that. Does that answer your question?
Sure.
This does it. If it doesn't, please let me know.
Oh, I love the tension between, like, no, let's not call it rebellion. Let's always call it accountability.
Yeah.
Because that is right. We can think of, we can all sit around one night, have a couple of beers, and it happens all the time. We have $1 million idea. But
it rhymes, Beers give you ideas.
Beers give you ideas. Because we love the romance of ideation, but then the follow through is where 99% of us also drop off. And when I mean follow through, I mean like making it and understanding and doing the research that it's actually going to work and it's going to land somewhere.
Yeah, I think with that, you can have an idea and that can orient you on what's important. It can give you focus. But the way that you actually get stuff done is by holding yourself to objectives, Yeah. There are so many different structures where I personally, and at Love Money, we use OKRs, objective key results, right? Like, what are we trying to achieve generally? And then what are the different key results that are going to be indicative of our success? So once you have a big idea, like, how are you going to hold yourself accountable to that idea? How are you going to deliver on that in all of these different kind of facets? Because there are so many different things that go into a business or a product. You're talking about your marketing efforts to get people to know about it, product development to like build the thing, test the thing. Then there's like customer support. What do you do when people have issues? Operations, logistics, packaging, freight, taxes, tariffs. Like there's so much complexity, and all of those small things can like you have to make so many different decisions. So you need some sort of framework to be able to make those decisions by.
Can you tell me a little bit about how love and money does it differently? Because I know you've been there for a few years now, and it seems to have been a big part of this new way of collaborating and having some skin in the game and taking accountability for what's going into the world.
Yeah, I think that the notion of the creative agency is dead. I think that people say this, that people have been saying this to me my whole career. The agency is dead. I think that if you take that from the point of view of agency in agencies is dead, the ability to actually act as an agent, to play a role as a creative contributor to a project, that's been dead for a really long time, because you don't get the breadth or the exposure to have an effect on these projects. I think where we've been different, and this isn't for every project, but it's something that we're absolutely looking to explore more and more, is when we look to a partner, when we're looking to collaborate with someone on something that's interesting, there is so much tension in someone saying, "Hi, can you help me do this project, brand, design, supply chain, product?" And I actually had an instance of this morning. You can get asked to supply service to person. And then the first thing you need to do is go away and then quote what that service might be. And then the second thing you need to do is like barter and negotiate with what's right. And all of a sudden you are slowing down everything that this person is sort of asking for. So what we're trying to do is find new ways of being remunerated for our services, and find new ways to partner, not just in the shit hot brand design of what we're doing, which we do very, very well, but in what effect that's going to have in the world. Is that going to actually work? What is better spent? Being able to have sort of honest conversations about like, hey, maybe you don't need to spend more money on like graphic design, as passionate as we are all about it. Maybe it's about this one thing or that one thing. We are often prompted with the notion. I think I've got a couple of emails in my inbox that have this title: "Let's build something extraordinary together." And it'll be someone saying, "Hey, I've got this idea. I want to bring it to life, and I really want a partner that can jump in here." If I looked at that through a conventional kind of agency lens, I'd be like, you know what you need? You need a brand, and then you need a website, and then you need some advertising. Can I talk to you about a retainer for 20 years? And that would be what I would offer. But if someone was like, I've got something extraordinary, like the responsible thing to be like, oh, do you? Like, why don't we talk about it? Why don't we test it? Why don't we see if anyone would use it? Why don't we see if we'd use it? And then kind of build it up that way. It's interesting to think about the inverse of what an agency would do in that context. And I think in that way it can be quite orienting to be from that context. And I think we like to invert quite a lot at LAM. We like to go, someone's asking us for this. Okay, what if the opposite was true? What if they didn't need to go to an agency for this sort of service? What if they actually just needed to, what if what they said there, I want to make something extraordinary, was just all that it was? You know, it wasn't some sort of like subtle, flirtatious way of saying like, hey, I'm looking at agencies, saw your website, really cool. I think we try and take that sort of tack, and we're open to having the flexibility with those relationships to do different stuff.
I love that. I love challenging that model, and just to your point, accountability right up front, which is, we're not just going to tell you to do a brand and a website. Let's just pause and test it and see how it's truly landing, and be really honest with you to work out what is the best next step.
And that's not always the case for a lot of businesses. Some people are like, I want a design, please. And we're like, cool, here you go. Here's a brand. It's really good. And you'll use it in these ways and it'll be awesome. But we've had iterations of this with select clients where we set couple goals, right? Like, being couple goals, which was a meme going around a couple of years ago, I guess. Where we'll be like, what do you want to achieve kind of broadly? And that might just start as a conversation to begin with. We'll draft some OKRs and some kind of measures of success. Some of those things might be like, you need to hire an internal team. That's the best thing you can do. Mm-hmm. You need to test your product. You need a beta set of users. You don't even need a brand, et cetera, et cetera. We'll take responsibility as part of that project for some of those OKRs, but they might go away and use them, they might not. Or they might say, hey, we want to do this with you because you bring the structure into what we're sort of doing. We've been able to kind of run that structure with a number of businesses. Charles, who runs Love and Money, also is the managing director of Telepathic Instruments, which we work really, really closely with. And so using kind of frameworks like an OKR structure means that we can divide roles and responsibilities that are outside of the remit of what an agency might have, right? Like from product testing to customer comms issues, we get access to all of those different problems, right? And we get more problems to kind of fall in love with because we are operating with the business from like a higher vantage point. We can see everything else that's going on.
I love that it disrupts the model. And then going back a little bit, you were talking about what can we make that's extraordinary, and you've mentioned telepathic instruments, and I feel like that is an extraordinary leap, what has been created there. Can you talk to us a little bit about Orchid and the hands-on part that you were playing in that?
Yeah, so we were invited to chat about this instrument a couple of years ago, and the team there had already started working on kind of prototypes of this thing, and I think we were prompted with like, could this be a business or something like that? And we were like, this is really cool. I think it's a project that it's a dream project.
It's an instrument from scratch, would you say? How would you describe it?
Yeah, I guess it's a musical instrument. It's a little synthesizer, and it's one of those projects where you jump in and you kind of figure out what needs to be done. Like if you were to take something that is a prototype and then bring it to market, like there are so many different things to do there, right? Like what does it look like? Who's responsible for that? What is it kind of how do we go from prototype to production? How do we deal with customers? How do we learn about the product when it's out in market? We've taken a role in the project where we look after a lot of the e-commerce and a lot of that. We've got a lot of expertise and experience in building e-commerce sites that do quite well, but also we took responsibility for sort of the community building and community management. We've set up spaces where we have beta testers, and in fact, like even when it came to the moment where we dropped the first 3,000 units, right?
It sold out in like what, 3 minutes?
In 3 minutes, yeah. We were on the other end of the computer, kind of watching that happen, you know. And so,
how cool!
Yeah, it was really cool. It's also something that you know you get to see the real face of the work that you do, because when people are like, "Oh, I missed out. This sucks," you don't get reasonable people being like, "Oh, I missed out. That sucks." Equally, if you were just to do like a social post on something, if you're working in a creative services role where you're like, I'm just doing the social media post to be like, we've sold out, which is a very valid brief that I've probably like done myself. You wouldn't be reading the comments and being like, hey, look, these people will hate us. This sucks.
Yeah.
Or you wouldn't be like, oh, people are really excited about this. But you wouldn't be able to kind of indulge in how wonderful the community is. Like we had so many supportive people that we were seeing in there. And not just that, like, being able to, I guess, organize people not around like the excitement of a new thing coming out, but in being able to share what they've made. Like we see people posting music and whatnot in all sorts of situations, which then again informs like, what should we do next? What should we do after? We play a pretty big role throughout, but we also get to work with so many subject matter experts. It's unreal. There are so many clever people and so many different facets in that business, and that will no doubt inform the next one that we do, and the next one that we do, and the next one that we do.
I love that it's like, well, it's a new instrument on the market, and anyone, I will include the link to it here, because when I saw it, it was the most beautiful launch video I've seen in a long time. I was like, this is so cool.
Props to the team, they did a sick job.
But beyond that, it works and it's stunning. And we were all out at lunch the other day in a Japanese restaurant, and we had it on the table, And the restaurant owner walked past and it stopped him in his tracks. He was just like, what is that? And he's like, can I pick it up? And you're like, yeah. But that, I haven't seen people respond to a new thing like that in a long time.
We're super, super lucky in the amount of excellence that is in the team there and in the product that we've made and the minutiae of care that has gone into that project and continues to go into that project. It is something that everyone loves so much. And for me, I think the thing that I love most about that project is the amount of like learning and education that it has opened up for me in terms of like learning about how to set up a lattice work of like customer service or to understand or apply learnings from previous projects on how like third-party logistics work, or sitting in rooms and listening to a conversation, listening to someone lament about an issue that's going on. So then the next time we have that conversation, there might be a different solution that I can come in and offer, or that I can share a similar problem with someone else and be able to work through that together.
Yeah.
I think there is so much to learn always. I think that we're always ready. I think having an organization that is ready to learn is the most important, and the most important thing.
Did I see recently that people were trying to sell from the pre-sale and
Yes. After we noticed some were getting listed on eBay illegally, so if you're unfamiliar, the eBay terms say you can't resell a product that you don't have or that's on pre-sale, because it's not a product that you have, and
it's
eBay
not
is like
real yet.
Exactly. So we were like, okay, we're seeing these listings, we should do something about it. So Patrick, another one of the directors at Lamb, he went through all of the listings and found the customers that they were and just cancelled their orders. And we didn't say anything about it. It was just this act of like, well, if we really are serious about getting this thing into people's hands, and if the community is saying like this is something that would cause them to be, speculative, or like to speculate about the motivations here, whether we're doing a real thing or not, we should behave in a way that is in accordance with what we want to see. We want to see people play this thing. We want to see people share it with their friends. We want to see a new genre of music come out in the next 2 years, right? Like we want to see some cool stuff happen here. So let's create the best conditions for that to happen in our small way, that's probably an act of rebellion, quote unquote. We'll just cancel these orders. What they're going to say, oh my gosh, my resold order has been cancelled. How could you do this to me?
Did you get much pushback?
Some people sent emails, and then I think we asked each other, like, what should we do? And we were like, fuck them, who cares? Because for those people,
Refunded.
It was refunded. Yeah, it was refunded. We're not taking anything from you. Like, if anything, they're taking it. We put so much into making sure that drop was fair. Like, you can only buy one product. Well, you can only buy one instrument, right? We didn't want people kind of hoarding them, buying them, and reselling them. We password protected that website. We changed, as the person in the chat who sent the password out to all of these people, we sweated over the details of when do we share something? How do we protect this? Not because we wanted to be here's a hype engineering factory, but because we wanted to make it fair and make it serendipitous and accessible. If we wanted to optimize for absolute hype, we could have in a far easier way. I'm sure we've all done this in kind of advertising and marketing kind of capacities, and we've shot the case study and sent it to Cannes, and it's been great. But in this instance, we wanted to optimize for getting this into the hands of musicians and getting people to play. And so we did, I suppose.
You protected it as it was really being released. You good?
You're not sponsored by Waterloo Sparkling Water?
Not yet, but...
At some stage, maybe. Who knows?
I want to see your object. So I am going to lift off this and you're going to talk to us about...
is that what's actually been... Yeah, right.
Surprise!
Yeah, got you.
All right. So under here we have talk to us about this pair of jeans.
Yeah, so I saw the latest Sydney Sweeney commercial, and I was like, jeans are topical, so we should talk about jeans. No, I thought about that retrospectively after I said, oh, I guess I got these jeans that I found. What can I say about these? So these are Levi's 664s.
What a great cut.
They are a great cut. They are a bell bottom. I think I was saying before, I think they're like 12-inch bottom, maybe a little bit shorter. They're not as flat as these ones. These are 684s, so you can see matchy. Basically, when I look at denim, like I bought these jeans. Excuse me. I bought these jeans. When did I buy these ones? Maybe a month ago. These ones, and they've been worn. Right, you can see like they've got a wash through them. They've got stains in them. They're whatever. What was really unique about these jeans is that they hadn't been worn. And I knew this because they had the tag on them, just this here. And I think like there's so many kind of corny and romantic stories you can tell about like wearing jeans in, and wearing them out, and wearing them wherever you go. I think ultimately, like we love stories. I love stories. I think the human race loves stories. And our favorite stories, my favorite story in any case, are ones where I'm the main character. I think it's fair to say that for most people, their favorite stories are the ones where they're the main character.
Yeah.
And I think in a pair of unwashed, unworn jeans, the patina that you earn on them, those are kind of the marks of your story. And I suppose like at some point, someone will flippantly rebuy these jeans at my estate sale once I've died. And like these jeans, they'll kind of have this kind of story that like the wearer probably doesn't care about. I have no interest in finding out what was done in these jeans, how many farts it might contain, or otherwise. But I think there's something quite nice in having something that is like completely unworn and made to be worn in a way. And it'll hold all these like secrets that will be like, maybe funny, entertaining for me, but as I say, I'm not interested in someone else's story. I'm like more interested in my own.
So it's almost the reversal of all the stories that are waiting to happen.
Yeah,
it's the clean slate of what jeans represent as well.
Totally. It's a sense of like I think in life in general, like meaning is what you make of it, right? And I could intend on making all sorts of meaning in kind of these jeans. I could hand them down from like generation to generation or whatever. And those stories, they don't really mean anything to anyone but me, I can wed so much meaning to these things, and it can be taken away very, very easily just by changing the context of them. And I think with any kind of object of significance like that, like I've been lucky enough to be quite transient over the last couple of years, and I don't really have anything that sentimental to me that I'm like, if I lost this thing, I'd probably take that meaning and like apply it to something else in some other way, possibly. But yeah, I think with jeans, it's like, it's the potential of meaning and like the tactility of them, you kind of, they will materially change, which changes the object.
But they last, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the first pair of jeans was painted back in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Was when the first pair of riveted jeans came out. And so I have an assumption also that you love denim so much because it like lasts and it does the thing.
Yeah.
And it stays around, and you're just drawn to things that stay.
Yeah. I think that's an astute observation. I think that I like something, and I like the meaning and how disposable it can be, but also how significant it can be. I mentioned this to you before we did this interview. I can be quite slippery. And I think the reason is because I can vacillate between being very sincere and like very ironic, like very, very quickly. And it might be me deflecting, it might be me avoiding accountability, the thing that we've been talking about a lot. And I like the ability to kind of be both things at once, and I like the fluidity and the potential of those things changing. Like I would never hold an absolute view of anything. I just know what I know, and I see the evidence kind of around me that reinforce a worldview, but I'm always hopeful that I will never close down a view of what something can be or what it can't be, and, you know, be flexible enough to that change. And so I think, like, in having a garment or something that you can move on to someone else or somewhere else, I think that in some way speaks to me about it, you know.
What do you think we attach too much meaning to?
Too much meaning to. I think that we don't attach meaning to the really important things, like human life and prosperity, like, yeah, decent, treating people with like decency, you know. It's not lost on me that there's a genocide going on in Palestine presently. There are people living in all sorts of unfavorable, it's a light word to use, living conditions. There are all sorts of injustices that I think we can pay attention to and understand what our work contributes to there, because I think it all does. It's all kind of like a lattice, and there is like complicity there. And I think that we can always hold that in mind, you know? I think that if we don't hold that in mind, then we assume that we live in this kind of protected reality, and we might do, but a lot of people certainly don't. And so I think our ideas, our intentions, our dreams, our meaning needs to be thought of in as broad of a context as possible, because we don't just get what we decide to do and attach meaning to has real implications for other people. That's that.
And no one warns you. Once your brain learns to stretch, small talk doesn't just bore you, it alienates you. You're not looking for smart people, you're looking for people still thinking.
Okay.
When I read that quote, it made me think of where you sit in the intersection of accountability for what we're making. That you're really looking for people who are truly thinking about all the steps to make this product that's going to live in our world, what its implications are going to be on the communities around us, like people who are still thinking about the accountability of everything rather than being complacent and letting their impact as a person of one kind of not be brought to its full potential.
Yeah, I think, yes, I think you need to be accountable to a project in some way. I think I was reading something else, I forget where I read this, but, you know, everyone talks about wanting to be part of like a community that does stuff, and like, you can't really have a community without a project to work towards. Like, that is really what kind of galvanizes you, like having a shared mission, whether it's like a political mission or a business mission. Knowing that we're working in service of a project allows you to build a community. I'm really lucky that I have a community of colleagues and collaborators as a result of a lot of interesting projects that I've worked on with them. I'm very lucky to find that place with Love and Money, and with the people there, like, that hold me accountable to delivering things on projects, inevitably, like, leads to a sense of reliability, a sense of dependence, leads to, interdependence, I suppose. Like, we're all relying on each other for these here and now things, but also, like, I think we all have very, very deep connections because the projects that we've worked on are significant to us, because we've not just in how interesting they might be, like aesthetically, but in how much we're able to give to those projects and how much access we're able to get for them and to them. Sorry.
How much you can influence it and see the outcome and learn so much from all of them. Is there a dream product or a person that you'd like to work with, or a thing that you'd like to solve that's just been in your brain that you'd like to take on?
This is this is interesting for me because I am a person who is a great contributor to projects, I think. And I actually got this challenge from Charles recently, this founder of Love Money. He was like, I think one of the reasons you haven't maybe started something for yourself is because you're a cynic, and you're always looking for ways that things can be broken and not put back together, and looking for ways where something will fail so you can find solutions or for whatever reason. But that really stuck with me, because it's so true. Like, I'm absolutely a cynic. I'm absolutely a hater, like to my core. But I know those things, and I want to kind of work towards those things. So I think at the moment, like, to again slip out of that question, at the moment I think it would be a really good indicator for me in my personal growth when I feel like I'm ready to, when I identify something like that I believe in, like that I believe not for just like rational reasons, but that I just believe because I'm like, oh, this is like something that actually has to be here. Like, if I were to think about that now, if I were to give you an answer, it would be like, I don't know, something that would tell a story about me in a particular way. Like, I don't know, I would love to work on golf balls because I want you to think I'm the sort of person that's into like technical sports equipment. I don't know, like I think that that's a marker that I'm looking forward to finding out more about. And I really hope that I can push myself to kind of, get into a situation like that because it's new and novel.
I love how honest that answer was.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's so refreshing.
Appreciate it. Who else have you been talking to, huh?
It's just a really refreshing answer. It's like, no, I'm waiting to really feel like the need or the desire to go all in on something.
Look, well, not even all in. Like, pick up something that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to hold other people accountable to this one thing that is like my thing that I'm like pulling along. Yeah. Whereas like, I think there are so many classic answers to this, right? Like, we have this conversation often. Who do we want to work with at our creative company? Do we want to work with people who are established? Do we want to work with people who are challenging? Do we want to challenge them? Do they want to be challenged? What are the names of those brands? And my answer is like, let me open up my closet and say I want to work with bloody Levi's or something, like stuff that affirms more things about me.
Yeah.
I think that those aren't the right answers. I'm more interested in, like, right now, finding people who have like a passion and an interesting way of solving a problem, and then like applying my objectivity to that in a way and being invited to participate into those experiences.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that for now. And then maybe there's something that I will find and I'll talk to my team about and rally the community around another project. I think that's also something that's telling. I'm more interested in who I'll be working with when I do find that thing. Yeah. And I'm pretty certain it'll be the people I'm working with today.
Awesome. They sound like a fantastic team.
Yeah, the best.
We are going to take your incredible pair of jeans and we're going to do a 3D scan of them, and we're going to add your story to the Museum of Thought. But as we do that, are there any final words of wisdom that you'd like to leave for generations to come? And you're not allowed to slip out of this question.
I think just try and know what you're wrong about. Like, I think one question that I love to ask people in interviews or conversations in general is like, what is a view that you hold, like, that is irrational, you're wrong about? I love asking that question because it's like a little bit mercurial, like, oh, what do you know you don't know, huh? That's a question that I always ask myself, like when I need to figure out like an answer. I always think like, oh, what are my biases that I'm bringing to this? What is it that I know? In which ways am I benefiting from a situation from just not doing anything at all? It's something that I, in my life, have been very, very aware of. Like, where am I holding space without even thinking about that? I think those things can be absolutely paralyzing, and you can end up. I know, definitely find myself in situations where I've tried to shrink myself as small as possible to just be like insignificant in those moments. I don't think that that's the right reaction, but I do think that understanding something that you believe or that you know about, and understanding how you might be wrong about that, and understanding how you might be there might be stuff to learn there. is something to always hold. So maybe it's something around like knowing that human beings are fallible and like the views you hold now will change and should change and maybe will come full circle and that, you know, it's all a big mess and that can be kind of disorienting, but, you know, it's the fun of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here you go, there's a non-answer for you. another non-answer.
Okay.
It's good.
Thank you so much for being with us and sharing the story. And please don't stop making stuff. And I can't wait until you work out one thing that you really want to make for you. I think that's going to be fantastic for us all to witness as well. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thanks so much. What do we do now? Do we all applaud? What do we...
Stop.
Hello. My name is Adnaan Narot. I work for Love and Money. This is what I'm contributing to the Museum of Thought. These are jeans. And you should know that the answer is always in the shoes, not the jeans.